Hello guys, this is Octavius with North American Archery. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I apologize, I've been working a lot and I have not been able to do a video for the channel. But I will tell you this, I'm still passionate about archery and I have a great video for you today and I think it's going to help, okay? Today's video is on choosing the right hunting bow. Choosing the right or correct hunting bow. Well, there's so many opportunities for you to go hunting coming up here soon, depending on where you live. September, October, November, December, and January are critical times for the hunter for white-tailed deer, as well as other animals as well. And so bow hunters like me and some of you, we typically go in September, October, and November because we will kill most of our deer during that time, well before hunters go out there with rifles and shotguns and whatever else they go out with. So I want to show you 3 distinct bows that you can have when you go hunting. Okay, number 1 is you got a compound bow. This is a compound bow that I had years ago. It's a Bear, I can't remember the name of it, a Fredbear TRX 400. I haven't shot this bow in years, and I'm going to explain to you this bow and why it's a valuable option for you, the hunter. If you want to go out and it's your very first time, this might be what you want to go with. The second bow that I'm going to talk about is a recurve bow. You got a recurve bow like this 59 Kodiak that I'll probably go hunting with primarily this year. 59 Kodiak, very beautiful bow, as you can see, with a leather grip. Got the purple heart in there, wood grain. It's a mass-produced bow, beautiful, quiet, 60-inch recurve bow, great to go hunting with. And then your next bow, here's a long bow. You can see it's a long bow because the string does not touch the limbs. So it's all the way through. It does not touch the limbs. Has a quiver on the front. It's a 3-piece because it has the bolts right here on it. I'm going to do a review on this particular bow. It's a custom-made bow. And this is another option. So you have 3 different types of bows you can go hunting with when you go bow hunting, or you could go with a crossbow, but I'm not really a crossbow guy. My father-in-law goes with a crossbow. I know others that go with a crossbow because of their shoulder issues. They might have tendonitis. They may just not want to go bow hunting in general with an upright bow. But for me, I like the challenge of bow hunting, and I want to go bow hunting as long as I can with an upright bow, an actual bow that you shoot like a gun, which would be a crossbow, is something that I would not want. So I won't have one of those bows to show you, but let me go ahead and try to get this video going for you on the actual specs. So this bow is an old school bow, early 2000s. And what this has, if you go with a compound bow, is you have a sight on the front. This is an old school Trophy Ridge compound bow, and Trophy Ridge sight. I got something in my face there. It's a piece of cobweb or something because I haven't shot this bow in a while. This is a 3-pin sight, okay? And you can see on this side, it has an actual ring on here. Now, I haven't shot a bow like this in probably over a decade, but I still have this one right here. And what happens is the natural light will come in here. You can see that glows right there. Actually, this is a 4-pin sight. 4-pin sight, and you can set this to 10, 20, 30, 40, or 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever you want to do, and you can set this up to the different ranges and you sight it in. This is what's called a whisker biscuit. This is what actually puts your arrow on there, okay? And so you take an arrow and you go like this, and then you go ahead and put it on the string like that. And then you would put your release right here on that D loop, and you would pull that back. Your release, let me grab that release real quick. Looks something like this. I still have releases like this that go around your wrist, and you take that, put it on there like this, and then you would pull back this around your wrist, and that's how you would make sure that you would pull that actual arrow back and lock it in. So it's like this, like that, okay? That's how that goes. And then you would go to anchor, okay? So this particular bow has also a stabilizer on it. Like I said, it has a whisker biscuit on it, which is very simple for hunting. A trophy ridge sight. It has also a wrist strap. So when you put your hand on the bow and that bow falls forward in the tree, it won't come off out of your hand. So you can have a looser grip when you shoot it. Also, it has a smaller cam on the front and a bigger cam on the back. These are called cams. Also has some limb savers right here. And so I just want to tell you about these things because I really feel like this is going to help you understand what a compound bow can do. A compound bow is going to be more accurate if you know what you're doing, typically, than an actual longbow or a recurve. I shoot a longbow or recurve because it's more of a challenge. It has nostalgia to it, and I just enjoy shooting it, knowing that instinctively I'm taking big game animals every single hunting season. This became very easy for me to do because of years and years of practice occurred. And then all of a sudden, I apologize about that, I have people going up and down the road with their UTVs. But you can see that after years and years of practice, you can look down this sight and you can line up these pins right here, and you put that pin on the vitals of an animal, you're taking it out. As long as your nerves are in check, you're gonna be 100% accurate. You look through this peep sight right here, and you line that peep sight up with the edge of this right here. And once you do that and you put that pin on your animal, you're ready to go. So this is a viable option if you want to go for your very first time. I hunted like that for years before I moved to my next bow, which was a longbow. This is not the first longbow that I ever shot, but this longbow is usually a bow I go out with spot and stalking. You see the difference with this is, and I got some magnet stingers on here, okay? I went hog hunting with this bow. This bow is a little different. You put that right here on the shelf, just like so. You knock it, and then all of a sudden now you have your fingers on there like this, and you usually wear a glove or you have a tab, and then you go ahead and pull that sucker back and you hit anchor, okay? That's pretty much all you do. And so this bow is gonna be more forgiving when it comes to traditional bow than a recurve, because these limbs right here do not twist as much as a recurve bow. And so when I first went out, I went out with a long bow because I heard it was more forgiving. It was longer tip to tip. Like this bow right here is a 66-inch AMO. So 66 inches long and 48 inches on the poundage, 48 pounds, I should say, but about 54, 55 at my draw length. And this bow has a little bit of hand shock as well, even though it's a little longer and more forgiving, because it is lighter weight than a compound bow or a recurve bow. So a long bow typically is more forgiving and it has better string follow, okay? Because it's gonna go back. These limbs are not gonna twist as much. So when you pull the string back, it'll go follow the limbs. It'll follow those limbs easy, okay? It's not gonna twist much when you pull it back, okay? Versus a recurve, sometimes those limbs will twist because they're thinner and they're wider. These are more thicker and narrower on the limbs. So it's going to give you a capability to have a more forgiving and more string follow type bow. So when you put your hands on the string, and even if you pluck it, it'll get to the point where it still will follow those limbs and make a consistent shot. A lot of your longbows will be longer. That's why it's called a longbow, right? So it's going to be very difficult sometimes to hunt in a blind or in a tree with a lot of limbs and stuff like that. Also, these tend to be slower than a recurve bow. A recurve bow tends to be slower, and the reason why that is is because, excuse me, a longbow is usually slower because it doesn't have the stored energy in these limbs as a recurve does. So let me go to the recurve. I'm doing this pretty quickly because I'm trying to give you a general overview. There's no way possible I can show you all the differences in one video, but I want to get you started, okay? This particular bow is like my #1 recurve that I hunt with currently, and this is my 59 Kodiak. You can see that this limb right here has a lot of curve to it, right? Some people call this a super curve, a super recurve, but it's pretty distinct on this, how much curve you have in this particular bow, this 59 Kodiak by Bear Archery. But there's a lot of stored energy, so when this bends, you can see that it stores that energy like that. So it's gonna be a faster bow, okay? But it also has more weight in the riser versus this one. This one and this one, you see how skinny this is, this longbow, versus this recurve? This won't have the hand shock that this does, okay? Because it's a heavier bow. If you're coming over from a compound bow to a recurve, this might be a better solution for you because it has that same type of grip. So if you go over here to this bow, you got the same type of grip between a compound bow and a recurve. But if I do the same comparison to a longbow, and this right here is a custom longbow, you can see that it's similar, but not the same. It's more straighter. A lot of these bows are going to be a straighter type of grip versus a actual compound has more of a pistol type grip, and so does the recurve. And so this bow is going to be more weight, more speed, but less forgiving than a longbow. But it's also shorter. It's 60 inches from tip to tip. And so this bow is 6 inches shorter than that longbow right there. So you can get this in more tight situations, in brush, in blinds, in tree stands with a lot of limbs and stuff like that. Once you cant that bow, you can get that into a tighter location. And so this is a really nice bow. Right now I'm shooting it probably the most, and it's a really fast shooting bow as well as quiet, and it doesn't have that hand shock as some of my longbows do. Okay, and so those are some of the differences. I recommend, if you are hunting for the very first time, probably go out and shoot a different type of bow, one longbow, one recurve, and one compound, and try to figure out what works best for you. But when you go out in traditional archery with a longbow or a recurve, it's really important to understand that it's going to take time in order to get to the place where you're really consistent at shooting. Your shot process matters. Your fundamentals matter. You being overbowed, having too much poundage. When I first started, I started out with a 65-pound longbow. I did not know what I was doing. I was able to kill deer with it, miraculously, by the grace of God, but it was at that time I realized, as I began to practice with more and more traditional equipment and begin to follow people's channels and be able to go to bow shops and talk to some of these old school guys, that I was actually overbowed. Now I can shoot pretty much any poundage I want to a certain point, and I usually shoot higher poundage bows, 60 pounds and up when I go hunting. But that's my style, but I have the methodology and the shot process down, and I know in those pressure situations that I've practiced all through the year. You have to do that in traditional archery versus a actual compound bow. You don't have to do that because you have this sight right here. I would have set this bow down with the release on it hanging on the wall and probably would shoot all year and still go out and shoot maybe a month, maybe 4 weeks straight, about every other day after work. By the time I hit the tree stand, I was ready to kill animals. Now, I'm not saying that everybody can do that, but I don't have to shoot nearly as much with this bow as I do with a longbow or a recurve. And so for somebody that maybe also doesn't have the time it takes to learn a longbow or recurve for hunting season, you want to get to the place where you just want to get a bow that you're ready to go hunting with out of the box, and you go to the bow shop, you get it tuned, and you're ready to go. Okay, and that's what I did for years, because I was running a company, running a business, and I didn't have time to go outside and shoot all these different bows and practice. So if you're a person that wants to get out right now for hunting season and learn quickly and go out and kill a deer, you probably want to go with a compound bow. That's what I did to get started. I think I got my first compound bow a month or two before hunting season. Never shot a bow in my life, and that same season I was able to kill deer because I practiced about every day, if not every other day. Okay, but if you go out with a recurve or a longbow, you're gonna have to really practice. So this is something that you want to probably take now into hunting season to really get competent in before you go out and try to expect to take an animal, because it's a whole different world, because you have no sights on the front. There's nothing to gauge anything off of. You're shooting feathers instead of vanes. Okay, these arrows, like this one right here, is a vane. This is a feather. Okay, this is carbon, this is wood. Then you got carbon arrows with feather fletchings on it. You have luminox, you have field tips, you have different inserts, you have all these different things, different broadhead weights. There's a lot that goes to it. So I would recommend you go out, go to a bow shop, get somebody to tune your first bow for you, pick you a nice bow that's not a lot of money, and just get started. But whatever bow you choose one that you're confident in and you're ready to go hunting and you're ready to take it to the next level, guys. So that was a lot of information. I know I threw a lot at you, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of knowledge on the differences between upright bows, from a compound to a longbow to a recurve, so you can make the decision that you need to make this hunting season and get it done. All right, now's the time to do it. And remember this, you don't have to get ready when you stay ready. All right, guys, we'll talk to you soon.